What really happened behind the cameras of American Pickers has been one of the most talked about mysteries in reality TV history, and for years fans have been searching for the truth about the shocking changes in its cast. The show, which started in 2010, became a huge hit because it followed two regular guys, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz, as they traveled across America looking for hidden antiques in old barns, garages, and forgotten places. Viewers loved the simple idea of finding lost treasures, but what made the show special was the real friendship and chemistry between Mike and Frank. Alongside them was Danielle Colby, who played a key role behind the scenes by managing office work and helping the business run smoothly. Together, they formed a team that felt natural and real, not scripted like many other reality shows. However, as the show became more famous, things slowly began to change in ways fans could not easily understand. Rumors started spreading about problems, health issues, and tension within the team, especially involving Frank's sudden disappearance from regular episodes. This left viewers confused and curious, wondering if the friendship they saw on screen was still the same in real life. Over time, questions grew louder, and every small update from the cast became a big topic online. The truth behind these changes was not simple, and it involved health struggles, emotional pressure, and major life challenges that affected everyone differently. As Frank Fritz became more known through American Pickers, fans also started to learn more about his personal struggles. Frank was known for his deep knowledge of antiques and his friendly but quiet personality on the show. However, in real life, he faced serious health problems that affected his ability to continue working at the same pace. One of his main health conditions was Crohn's disease, which is a long-term illness that affects the stomach and digestive system. This condition can cause pain, tiredness, and many other difficult symptoms, especially when a person has to travel and work long hours. The filming schedule of the show required constant travel across different states, heavy lifting, and long days on the road. Over time, this became very hard for Frank to manage. Because of this, his appearance on the show became less frequent, and fans began to notice his absence. At first, the show explained it as personal time away, but later it became clear that health was a major reason. Frank's condition did not improve enough for him to return fully, and he eventually stepped away from regular filming. This situation created concern among fans who had watched him for many years. Many people hoped he would recover and return, but his health challenges continued to limit his ability to work. Even though he was no longer part of the main cast, his presence was still strongly felt in the show, and viewers often talked about how different things felt without him. After Frank stepped back from American Pickers, many rumors began to spread about the real reason behind his absence. Some fans believed that there were personal conflicts between Frank Fritz and Mike Wolfe. Others thought that problems with the production team or business decisions might have caused tension. Because the show was so popular, even small changes in the cast became a big topic of discussion online. Social media posts and interviews added more fuel to these rumors, as fans tried to understand what really happened behind the scenes. At the same time, the show continued to move forward, and new cast changes made the situation even more confusing for viewers. Some people even believed that Frank was replaced or pushed out, while others felt that he simply could not continue because of health issues. In reality, the truth was likely a mix of personal health struggles and professional pressure. The filming schedule of the show was very demanding, and reality TV often requires long hours and constant travel, which can be very difficult for someone dealing with illness. While the rumors kept growing, the people involved in the show mostly stayed quiet or gave short answers, which made fans even more curious. This silence created more space for speculation, and different versions of the story spread widely online. Over time, the focus slowly shifted from rumors of conflict to concern for Frank's health, especially as more information became public about his medical condition. Still, the early confusion left a lasting impact on how fans viewed the changes in the show. During all these changes in American Pickers, Danielle Colby played an important but often less visible role. Danielle was not one of the main pickers traveling on the road every day, but she was a key part of the team behind the scenes. She managed office work, helped organize deals, and supported the business side of the operation. Her connection with Mike Wolfe went back many years before the show even became famous. They shared a strong working friendship based on trust and business goals. Danielle also knew Frank Fritz well, and she understood both personalities in the team. Because of this, she often found herself in the middle of fan discussions about what was happening behind the scenes. As rumors about conflict and health problems spread, Danielle sometimes shared her thoughts on social media, which fans closely followed. She often tried to explain that things were more complicated than what people saw online. From her point of view, the situation was not just about arguments or drama, but also about health struggles, work pressure, and personal choices. Danielle also showed support for both Mike and Frank at different times, which made it clear that she cared about both of them. However, fans sometimes misunderstood her posts and believed she was choosing sides. This added even more discussion to the ongoing story. Despite all this attention, Danielle mostly focused on her work and continued supporting the show's production. Her role may not have been in the spotlight like Mike and Frank, but she was still an important part of how the business and the show operated over the years. As time went on in American Pickers, major changes began to happen in the cast and direction of the show. Mike Wolfe continued leading the series and making business decisions, especially as Frank Fritz became less active due to health issues. The show slowly adjusted to a new format where Mike often worked with different partners or alone on picking trips. One of the most noticeable changes was the introduction of Mike's brother, Robbie Wolfe, who sometimes joined him on the road. This shift was meant to keep the show running smoothly, but many longtime fans noticed that the original chemistry between Mike and Frank was missing. At the same time, Danielle Colby continued her role in the office and business side, helping keep operations stable. The changes were not easy for the audience, as viewers had grown attached to the original trio dynamic. Over time, the show still continued to air, but discussions online often focus more on what had changed rather than what new content was being shown. Mike has spoken in general terms about wanting to keep the spirit of the show alive, even as cast members changed. However, replacing the original energy of the team was always going to be difficult. The bond between Mike and Frank was a major part of what made the show special in its early years, and without it, the tone of the series naturally shifted. Even so, the show remained popular, showing that the idea of finding hidden treasures and telling real stories still had strong appeal to viewers. In later years, the situation of Frank Fritz became more serious, and fans began to hear more about his health challenges. Along with Crohn's disease, he also suffered a stroke that affected his ability to move and speak properly. This was a major turning point in his life, as it made everyday tasks much more difficult. After the stroke, Frank spent time recovering and away from the public eye. He received support from friends, family, and some former co-workers, including people from American Pickers. During this time, fans continued to send messages of support and hoped he would recover enough to enjoy a more normal life. In some later appearances and updates, Frank showed small signs of improvement and expressed that he still loved antiques and missed being part of the picking world. There were also reports of reconciliation between him and Mike Wolfe, which gave fans hope that old tensions were improving. However, his health remained fragile, and he was not able to return to the show in a full-time role. This period of his life was difficult, as he moved between recovery and ongoing medical care. Despite everything, many people remembered him as a key part of the show's success and a friendly face who helped build its identity. His journey showed how quickly health problems can change a person's life and career, especially in a job that requires constant travel and physical effort. The later news about Frank Fritz brought sadness to fans of American Pickers around the world. Reports confirmed that he had passed away in 2023, marking the end of an important chapter in the show's history. His death was connected to ongoing health issues, and it shocked many viewers who had followed his journey for years. After the news became public, Mike Wolfe and Danielle Colby both shared emotional messages remembering him and his role in their lives. They describe him as an important part of the team and someone who helped shape the identity of the show. Fans also shared memories, favorite episodes, and moments that showed Frank's personality and passion for antiques. Even after his passing, discussions continued about how much he contributed to making the show successful in its early years. The legacy of Frank is closely tied to the success of the series, and his work continues to be remembered by longtime viewers. Today, American Pickers continues in a different form, but the original trio dynamic remains one of the most loved parts of its history. The story of Mike, Frank, and Danielle shows how friendships, business, and real-life struggles can all mix together in unexpected ways. It also reminds viewers that behind every TV show, there are real people with real challenges. Frank's journey, from early success to health struggles and eventual passing, left a strong impact on fans who still remember him as one of the heartbeats of the show. After the passing of Frank Fritz, the atmosphere around American Pickers changed in a big way, both for the remaining cast and for the audience. Fans who had followed the show for more than a decade suddenly found themselves looking back at old episodes with a different feeling. Scenes that once felt light and entertaining now carried emotional weight, especially moments showing Frank working alongside Mike Wolfe. Many viewers began rewatching early seasons, remembering the original energy that made the show so popular in the first place. At the same time, discussions online became more emotional, with fans sharing personal stories about how the show had been part of their lives for years. Some people said they started watching it with their parents or grandparents, while others said it inspired their interest in antiques and history. The show was no longer just entertainment. It had become a memory connected to real-life experiences. For the production team, this period was also sensitive, as they had to continue working while respecting the loss of someone who had been a major part of the show's identity. Even though filming continued, there was a clear shift in tone, and everything felt more serious and reflective than before. The absence of Frank was no longer just a cast change. It became a permanent reminder of how fragile life and careers can be, even in successful television shows. As time moved forward, Mike Wolfe continued to guide American Pickers in a new direction. The show still focused on finding antiques and telling stories, but the original team structure had changed permanently. Mike often appeared with different partners, and sometimes worked alone, which gave the show a slightly different rhythm. Meanwhile, Danielle Colby continued her behind-the-scenes role, keeping the business side stable and supporting production whenever needed. Even though the core trio dynamic was no longer there, the show tried to maintain its identity by focusing more on history and the emotional stories behind the items being found. However, longtime viewers often compared the new episodes with older ones, especially the early seasons when Frank was still actively involved. Many fans felt that the magic of the original lineup could never be fully replaced. At the same time, new viewers who joined later still enjoyed the concept of the show, proving that its main idea was still strong enough to survive changes in cast. This created a divide in audience opinion, where some focused on nostalgia while others focused on the current version of the show. Even with these differences, the program continued to remain on air, showing how strong its brand had become over the years. Behind the scenes of American Pickers, the story of its success is closely connected to the early partnership between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz. Their friendship was not just part of the show, it was the foundation of its entire concept. They spent years traveling together, building trust, and learning how to turn forgotten items into valuable finds. This real connection is what made viewers believe in the show's authenticity. When Frank became less active due to health problems, that foundation naturally became weaker, and the show had to adapt. While television often replaces cast members, in this case it was not easy because the chemistry was a key part of the success. Danielle Colby also played an important supporting role in keeping the business side functioning during these transitions. Her presence helped maintain stability, even when the on-screen dynamic changed. Looking back, many fans and critics agree that the early years of the show represented a rare combination of friendship, business, and storytelling that is difficult to recreate. This is why discussions about Frank's absence and later passing still continue today, even years after the changes began. If you enjoy the video, like, comment, and subscribe the channel for more content. Thanks for watching.